And in terms of spending, you mentioned cars earlier on, we talked about houses briefly. Should I be buying a car or should I be leasing a car?
A car is, let me just say, it's one of the two areas that most people overspend. And it's because we don't just buy the numbers, we buy the emotions of the car, how the car might make us feel, how we'll look like in the car, the family memories we'll create in the car. And I know because I did this. When I got my first job, the very first thing I did was upgrade my car. I went into a car showroom, found a car that I thought I'd look cool in, walked out with the car an hour later, drove out with the car, and didn't run my numbers, didn't check if I could afford the monthly payments. And for the next couple of months was figuring out how I was going to make the rest of my finances meet. And car dealerships know this, so they will manipulate the monthly payments in a way that makes you buy more car than you could afford. And if you don't understand how the numbers work, this is probably one of the quickest ways to destroy your chance of building real wealth. The way I recommend buying a car is to buy something that's 3 to 5 years old straight. And I say 3 to 5 years old because at that point, it's depreciated enough at someone else's expense and won't depreciate as much during the time that you have it. But if you are someone who is wealthy and you don't mind taking that hit on the depreciation, or you want a nice car every couple of years and you want to trade it in, and you don't mind the fact that it's not the best financial choice, then lease. That's how I think of the buy and the lease situation. Then you also want to think about how much can you reasonably afford as a monthly payment when it comes to the proportion of your income that you're spending towards it.
So do you buy new cars or do you?
No, I actually, at the moment, it was more economical for me to get a taxi everywhere, so I don't have a car.
So you've ran the numbers and thought the amount I'm traveling away from home makes more sense just to Uber.
Get a taxi, an Uber every time. Yeah, I'm saving for me. And it makes sense for this point in my life. It might be in 5 years, 10 years time that I want a nicer car and I don't want to restrain myself from having it. But for now, with the numbers, I could use that amount somewhere else.
What about other things we spend money on? Where are the big sort of traps in spending that we haven't mentioned? So we talked about cars, talked about houses. What about iPhones and iPads and technology?
I think there's traps in spending in almost everything that we do that we don't even see. Going to a grocery shop, which is a fundamental living cost for everyone, you're fighting against marketing to keep your money in your pocket. You walk to a shop, a grocery store, they have the eggs, the milk, the bread right at the back, which makes you walk through the shop to get there. They have the premium products eye level, the sweets for the kids at the kids' eye level. So these are also areas where you don't even realize that you're overspending because there's these subliminal marketing messages around you. Mm-hmm. So that's one area where people spend, where it's just like spending on the necessities, but not even realizing that there's a way to save there.
So what do you suggest? Going into those supermarkets with a shopping list?
Yeah, I mean, that's one way, going into the supermarkets with a shopping list. Also checking if you're shopping at the cheapest supermarket near you. I mean, shopping at M&S and Waitrose is different to shopping at Aldi, if that's where you want to save your money and you're more paycheck to paycheck and you're thinking about where to save your money. Other areas where people overspend is everything now can be bought as an impulse buy. You could buy now, pay later. There's Apple Pay on your phone. There's so many debt financing methods that make you pay more. And so just understanding, running this budget, running these numbers, understanding what you actually have available to spend towards these things is a really good way of fighting against everything else that is trying to take your money away from you.
What about like iPhones and iPads and stuff like that? Do you think people should be getting new ones or?
The way I think about this is the law of diminishing returns. When you first get something, there's a really big impact on your happiness. When you first get an iPhone and you don't have an iPhone, that's good, that's big. You're like walking around your iPhone, this is pretty cool. Then with every upgrade, that diminishing return starts to plateau. It's not as exciting. So actually thinking about, do I need the next upgrade or is that something I could pass up on? But always remembering that the first time you buy something is worth it. The upgrades after that, the happiness doesn't increase as much.
And what about hair, nails, dyeing your hair and all those kinds of things? Do you think people should be trying to sacrifice those kinds of things as well? Or
I'm not in this camp of trying to save money on everything. I really do believe that you should have a percentage that you allocate towards the fun things in your life and not being restrictive about what it is that you love. If it is getting your nails done, getting your hair done, getting a new bag, go for it. Enjoy it. As long as on the other side, that's not at the opportunity cost of you in 5 years or you in 10 years.
because you talk about this term lifestyle inflation,
Yeah.
which I've never heard before. What is lifestyle inflation?
Lifestyle inflation is when, as your income increases, your spending also increases in a way that you think might be necessary, but actually they are all necessities being hidden away as just upgrades and luxuries. So essentially your spending rising at the same pace that your income is increasing. And what you want to do to counteract lifestyle inflation is you want to make sure that your spending increases. Sure, you want to treat yourself, you want to reward yourself, but not at the same pace that your income increases. You want to make sure that the gap between your income and your spending is getting wider as you earn more money, not narrower.
What's the best way for someone to track their money? Because there's lots of figures here. Some people aren't mathematically literate.
Yeah.
Many people don't want to be in Excel documents. Are there simple tools or an app that I could use to track my spending and saving and income?
So many bank accounts nowadays have categorized spending within them, and it'll tell you what you're spending and what you're spending on. So if you are someone that, even me, I don't sit every single month and track every single transaction, but I do have a ballpark figure in my mind based on my banking apps about what I'm spending and where. And the key isn't, oh, should I be allocating this much here? I've overspent here. Oh, I spent a little bit more on my trip than I needed to. The key is, are you saving 10% minimum of your salary? Whatever you decide to do with everything else, that's up to you. And when you think about it that way, you think of this whole budgeting, managing finances as a lot more freeing than something that's restricting you. If you're someone who doesn't want to sit in the spreadsheets, spit in the numbers, just think, what am I saving and what am I spending? Am I saving the right percentage? Cool. Doesn't matter how I'm allocating the rest. That's what I recommend for those people.
Are there like budget trackers that are already built that I can use? Because, my bank might tell me how much I'm spending, but it doesn't necessarily inform me in real time of how much money I have left.
Yeah. I mean, I have a budget tracker, which actually tells you in real time. It's not connected to your bank accounts, but when you put your numbers into it, it will tell you what you have left to spend for the remaining of the month.
And what is that? Is that an Excel document?
It is an Excel document, yeah.
Can I have your Excel document?
Yeah, sure.
I'll link it below so people can use it if they want to use it. What about money and love and how these two worlds collide? Because I was speaking to Kevin O'Leary recently on the show, and he was telling me that one of the reasons people end up in divorce is because of financial insecurities and pain and friction and arguments. Do you get a lot of messages from people about money, love, joint bank accounts, and all these kinds of things?
I have a lot of questions from people asking, firstly, how to bring up the conversation of money. And secondly, how to manage their finances with a partner in a way that keeps the autonomy, but still makes it feel like you have a shared life.
What are those big questions?
When it comes to how to bring up a conversation,
Yeah.
I guess, with your partner, this is really important because the top two reasons why people argue or why couples argue is money and sex. And when it comes to money, it's lack of transparency, lack of openness, and lack of shared goals together. And that's not to say, yeah, you should go on a first date and ask someone what their credit score or debt utilization is. But it is to say, having those conversations, asking the right questions in a way that can help you understand someone else's money beliefs in a way that can help you create a financial life together.
So what should I be asking my partner? I'm your partner.
Okay.
What do you say to me and when do you say it?
I think there's levels of the questions that you could ask someone.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're just getting to know someone, you can ask them something along the lines of, if you found or if you won 10,000 tomorrow, how would you spend it?
Lamborghini.
That will tell you a lot about what they value. So then that automatically tells you that they probably value status.
Mm-hmm.
If you say, I'd probably save it,
If I said Lamborghini, I'm going to rent a Lamborghini for 2 months.
Yeah.
What should you then do about that?
You take that information and you understand this is what the person values.
Yeah.
Because money is just a symbol for what the person values. And if they want to spend it on a Lamborghini, that's not to say you should then judge the way they're spending, but you take that information, you understand what do you want to do with it? Is this way of thinking something that you want to have a life with?
Okay. Is there a good answer to that question?
I think it comes down to understanding, because even if someone says, I just want to save, you might think, okay, this is great. It's stability, security, but you might be someone who wants experiences. You want to spend on flights to take your friends and family away around the world. So it's just about understanding how your money values fit in with their money values, and are they completely in conflict with each other, or do they marry up, and can you see yourselves creating a financial life together? Because if someone's like, oh, I'll spend all my money on like status symbols and not save anything, and you're a saver, that is going to be a cause for arguments.
Yeah. Especially if you get bad news and things get tight. Someone loses their job, and then when things get tight, you're really going to be focused on the money. Or you have kids and, any sort of pressure on their budget.
Exactly. And like other questions, and those kind of questions come down further down the line, actually, I guess, as well, when it comes to financial goal setting. But I guess there's another question you could ask someone, and it comes back to what we spoke about at the start of the podcast, is where did your beliefs about money come from? Because so much of the way we think about money is inherited through what we saw our parents do, what we saw during our upbringings, and it has an impact on the way we are with money. It might be that we're an impulse spender as a result of it. It might be that we see debt in a certain way. It might be that we're really frugal. But what that does is it opens up a conversation of empathy and compassion rather than judgment. And that automatically can lead to more conversations about, okay, how do you view debt? How can we manage our finances based on your views and my views? And how can we work together as a whole to make this sustainable? And then the next question is, like, when it comes to family and kids and how you're going to manage your finances there, that's when it comes to like the third layer of questions, where you are asking someone, what does our 2-year, 5-year, 10-year goal look like? And if we were to merge our finances together, what would that look like?
Should we merge our finances together, Nischa?
My straight answer to this is no. We have very unique individual money personalities and habits. And we are getting married later in life, where these personalities are really set in stone. And you know how they say opposites attract in a relationship? The same goes with money. Savers typically attract spenders, and spenders typically attract savers. So if you have a saver saving and then a spender who's spending the savings, that's going to be a cause for arguments regardless of if there's financial shortcomings. So what I recommend is having a team fund and then a me fund. Team fund is for the grown-up adult stuff, the joint expenses, mortgage, rent, bills, council tax. And this isn't 50-50. You both pay into that proportionate of your income. 90% of your household income that you're making, you pay 90% of the expenses. You're bringing in 30% of the household income, you're paying for 30% of the expenses. That's a team fund. And then you have the me fund. And this is for your own individual personality to stay alive, your own money habits. No one else can see the way you're spending here. If you have a matcha addiction, go for it. If you want to buy that nice watch, go for it. You can do whatever you want, spend this money however you want. If you want to save it, save it. But that way you're creating that unity, but also having that autonomy. And I think this is really, really important for both parties, women and men, but specifically for women. You want them to have their independent access to their finances. And I've seen situations, I've spoken to people who have merged their finances. And it's when the relationship has turned sour or unsafe, they haven't been able to know what to do because they haven't had the independent access to their money.
Do you think people should be getting prenups? Did you get you're married, aren't you?
I am. I think everyone has a prenup, whether you know it or not. Prenups, you could either have your own customized prenup, or you could have what the state is telling you as what's going to happen if you decide to go your separate ways. Depending on where you are, the prenup holds different values. So some areas might not look beyond what the couple agree. And they just say, okay, this is what the couple's agreed. This is how the finances are going to be split, or the assets are going to be split. In the UK, and I'm not a divorce lawyer or anything, I don't believe that the prenup is fully legally binding.
Mm-hmm.
So it's useful to have in some circumstances, but the courts will still look past it and see what is fair as a couple.
This term passive income is
Yeah.
quite a popular term. What is passive income?
The way I see passive income, it's money that you do not have to work or to invest time in to make. And in all honesty, I think the word passive income gets thrown around a lot. And people forget that the things that you do see that might be passive income streams required a lot of work upfront to start with.
What are some passive income ideas that you think some people could pursue, like the average person could potentially pursue on top of their 9-to-5 job?
I would go back to the easiest way for someone to pursue passive income is through investing.
From like the S&P 500 and stuff like that? Or?
That is the easiest way. If you want to, everything else, and this is how I see it, everything else requires some level of time or energy, because you could increase your income through a couple of avenues, if that's what you're looking to do. You can, like we spoke about, ask for a pay rise at work. You can, if that's not available to you, start up side businesses to increase your income. And there's two ways to do that. There's the tap and go, that I like to call it. And it's ways to increase your income that you could do immediately. This isn't passive. This is things like putting a spare room on Airbnb or dog walking or Ubering. They require your time for money, but they are immediate. The downside is there is a cap to how much you could earn because it's not leaning into your unique advantages, your market advantage, your unique selling points. The other side is value and skill-based income. And this is where you lean into your individuality, your unique selling point. You tap into your skills and you create businesses around that can scale. The downside with that, even if it is passive, say if you want to create content and then through that sell products, which you could then earn passively, with that kind of income stream, it always takes longer to make that money. And there's a time period where you are putting in more time or even more money before you start earning that. So when I talk about passive income, that's when I say, sure, there are avenues for passive income, but the easiest one that's accessible to everyone is investing. Everything else does require some upfront time or energy.
Yeah. We were talking before we started recording about Standstill, which is a company I've become a co-owner in, and that business allows you to sell digital products online. And we did this 30-day challenge, and I was looking through the results of how much money people had made and also how much of a following they had, because I think digital products are really like interesting entrepreneurial opportunity. And there was this one, I was going through all of them yesterday over in the studio, and there was like so many people, but there's this one that stood in mind because she had 1,000 followers, and she's helping women to get control of binge eating and other sort of eating disorders by selling like digital products and information and really like a community. She had like 1,000 followers or something. And in the last 30 days, she's made £4,000 or £5,000 doing that. She sold like 40 like digital products, so like basically PDFs and stuff like that. I just thought this is a massive untapped opportunity for the vast majority of people who've spent 10 years, 20 years in a career and know something, have some kind of expertise.
Yeah, using what you're learning through your day job and turning it into a business on the side that can be scalable. Not necessarily through creating content, which is what I think a lot of people think that they need to do. But yeah.
I imagine like everybody knows something. And there's a demand now for people to buy that expertise that you know, especially if you've been in the working world for like a couple of years.
Yeah, I'd say if you want to figure out what it is that expertise is for you, because sometimes we're sitting on a mountain of knowledge, but we don't even know it until we kind of take a step back and then look to see what that thing is. Ask your friends, what is it that you'd come to me for advice on? Because I know I have people in my life who I go to for advice on specific areas, or if I want planning for an event, hey, What should I do? How should I do this? If I need help with Excel, hey, can you help me with this formula? If I've got back pain, just a quick message or WhatsApp to someone saying, hey, what can I do in this situation? Find out what are people coming to you for advice on. That kind of will give you a signal as to what people want to know about you, what people want to learn from you, and see if there's a way to turn that into an income stream.
I mean, it's very much what you did.
Yeah, it is exactly what I did. It's turning the finance knowledge, which at the time my tagline was sharing everything I know and I'm learning along the way to create a life that I love. And it was me kind of doing it as an online diary, sharing this is what I'm learning, this is what I'm doing. And then it ultimately ended up into something that I do full time.
If you love the Diary of a CEO brand and you watch this channel, please do me a huge favor. Become part of the 15% of the viewers on this channel that have hit the subscribe button. It helps us tremendously, and the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the guests.